My name is Dr. Stephen Blake. I live in San Diego, California. I'm a practicing veterinarian for the past 44 and a half years, and I graduated in 1973 from Colorado State University with a degree of Doctor of Veterinary Medicine and Western Medicine. This video I'm making is at a request of my brothers and sisters in the UK for their concern about not being able to practice homeopathy in the veterinary field in the UK. In the United States, that's not the case. We are allowed to practice homeopathy, and so the best way I can serve my friends, the animals, is to share my story. My story started when I was 6 years old, 1953. I told my mother I wanted to be a doctor. An MD, as it turned out. Luckily, I became a veterinarian. What a gift that has been in my life. I was trained, as I said, in reductionism, allopathic medicine at one of the finest veterinary schools in the world, at Colorado State University. I took that knowledge and went into general practice in 1973, practiced for 7 years using only the tools I was trained to use in my medical practice. And after 7 years, I started to develop some medical problems that continually got worse. And so I went to a medical doctor who happened to also be a certified homeopath for humans. He diagnosed me as having pesticide poisoning, which it turned out was being contracted by me from my patients. Because in the 70s, 80s, we were dipping animals with Dursban, malathion, and other strong chemicals. And then they were being absorbed into my system, and I was having severe reactions to it. So his instruction to me was, quit being a veterinarian or you'll die within 5 years. So that got my attention. However, I spent my whole life to become a veterinarian, and also I'd hawk my house. I had 2 children, a wife, a mortgage, and I just started a new practice. So he said you could try rubber gloves. I tried that, it did not work. I just couldn't connect with the animals. So then I came up with plan C, which was, how about if I tell all my clients they can't bring their animals to me if they have any chemicals on them? And then if no one came, then I'm out of business. If not, then we'll see what happens. Well, what happened is people wanted that. My clients wanted that I had for 8, 9 years. And so I had to learn other means of treating animals. So then I started looking into human field, because in the 80s, there were no veterinary homeopathic training or acupuncture, herbal medicine. It was all human. So I started studying human literature on holistic medicine after working all day. And I spent thousands and thousands of hours. And eventually, I became the first certified homeopathic veterinarian in the United States by the AVH, and then also a certified veterinary acupuncturist by IVAS. I've spent thousands of hours studying various forms of alternative medicine, and I've used it for over 35 years successfully in my practice. My oath, and all of our oaths, is to prevent suffering and do no harm. Prevent suffering, and most importantly, do no harm. And what I discovered back in the 80s, that unfortunately, much of what I was taught in veterinary school had many side effects. And these side effects were causing harm. So, not to throw away the baby with the bathwater, I value my allopathic training as a surgeon, a dentist, radiation, you name it. You know, we have to do all these things. I am grateful for that knowledge. However, what I found was, by learning these other modalities, I was able to reduce the use of drugs, chemicals, and vaccines by 99+% and have success in treating animals, everything from mice to elephants, giraffes, dolphins, cats, dogs, horses, pigs, sheep, humans even. I've used this technology, this methodology to help all creatures great and small. So my reason for telling this story is simply, for me, it's a quote that I read a long time ago. It said, the person that says it cannot be done should not interrupt the person doing it. while you're looking at someone, a loving veterinarian who will do anything to help all creatures great and small, to prevent suffering and do no harm. And that quote is what I live by. So when someone tells me that something won't work, my first question is, how many thousands of hours have you put into the study of it and the application? And I find that in my experience over the last 4 decades is that most people have no knowledge. They're just repeating what someone else said. So when you're doing any type of evaluation of a modality, just to be a good scientist, you need to research it yourself, not take the word of someone who's a fox in the henhouse. Fox in the henhouse to me is someone who is not a true scientist. A true scientist is simply he or she who seeks truth for truth's sake alone, not for personal gain. So if you have a product and you want to sell it and you manufacture it and you're doing the testing on it, what? You're going to come up with bad things to say about your product? No. That's why third-party evaluation needs to be done. It's not done here in the United States, and I'm sure it's not done in the UK. So this is just a common human condition that I've witnessed, and I'm not being judgmental about it. I'm just saying that's the way it is. So as a scientist, as a veterinarian, as a lover of animals, I owe it to my patients to do my very, very best to prevent their suffering and do no harm. So it behooves all of us as healers to look into our heart and see why we say what we say or do what we do. Make very clear inside of you that your reason for denying service to an animal caregiver, to another veterinarian, to yourself, make sure it's based on truth, not opinion. So I honor my profession. I am grateful that I still can practice. I'm coming upon 45 years now practicing, and I love being a veterinarian, and I'm honored that I get to serve. However, as part of my oath, as I said, is to prevent suffering and do no harm. So I'll always be the voice of the animals till my last breath. So I pray for all of you. I wish you the best, but always walk the truth. And as I always like to tell all my clients, walk on the edge of life and do your best not to take up space in the universe. Peace, blessings to you all. Thank you for listening, and have a blessed life.